Welcome back to round two of myself, Joe Worsley, and Micah Ma'a, two professional setters over in Europe right now in the middle of our season, in the middle of playoffs. Micah just won the Turkish Cup, breaking down some setting this week. Once again, we got a lot of really good feedback last week. People were really interested in kind of what we were talking about, how we were talking about it. And so we are going to dive deep into going over on two, which is absolutely not my specialty and 100% one of Micah's specialties. So I'm really interested.
Bro, get out of here.
No. Trust me, it's my coach here. So that's one thing. I play Silvano Prandi. I play for his nickname is Il Professore, which just means the professor in Italian. But he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, International Hall of Fame. Literally, he's coached everybody. Anybody you could possibly name, he's coached them most likely before. But he's really big advocate for being aggressive and being creative, and he's always pushing me to attack the ball and dump. And it's just not something that I do because we're so good at attacking. I'm I don't want to waste opportunities, and just being open. Our team knows it too. We're not the greatest reception team, so I never really.
Those opportunities are few.
Yeah, so it's if I'm in system, you got to work the middle into the court. We're really good with first tempo and pipe, so we got to utilize that more. So I take it. Usually it comes in bunches and batches, but last week Irvin Gapeth was our podcast guest, and he even said Micah's the most offensive setter he's ever played with, and probably in the world. I don't think there's another one that's more offensive than him out there at international volleyball.
Yeah, honestly, overseas, my coach they've never talked to me much about going over on two. They know I'm a pretty, I'm undersized in its sense of height, but I'm pretty physical at the net, just being able to jump pretty well. And so I think that opens up a lot more opportunity for me, to know I can beat people to certain angles, even when they're up. I know that I can beat them usually inside or even over sometimes. But it's just something personnel based. We talked about last whatever we're calling this segment.
We need a name. You guys got to come up
United
a name.
Class, whatever we are. We talked about it last time. So much of our game is personnel based, and even at the highest level of any sport, it's personnel based. You look at Federer and Nadal and how they play tennis; it's completely different. But it's based on their attributes that they have. And you look at NBA teams or NFL teams, you're going to be a run first team, you're going to be a pass first team. It's just basically what you have at your disposal. And this is one of the weapons that I have at my disposal. So I try to use it. Started in college when I dumped and I got picked up. People had conversation about why I did that and were complaining. And so I went to our stats guy and pulled up hitting percentage on the year. And I think I was probably at 800, and the next closest was Kofi, who was at probably 550 or something. I said I'm hitting 200. I'm hitting 250 over our best player. So don't speak to me again about being Doug. Any other time I get a perfect pass and I give it to somebody and they're Doug, nobody has anything to say. Mm-hmm. But when I take the opportunity to go over on two and it doesn't work, it's usually a commotion. And I kind of shut that down in college in the sense where I'm the highest hitting player on the team. And so,
dude, so Silvano, my coach, his message to me at the beginning of the season was the exact same thing with middles and dumping. He's first of all, he doesn't understand. So many coaches get so pissed off when you set middle and it doesn't work. When it's
oh, I know.
And it's an opposite or an outside. If they have a good game, just so people know, in Europe, they calculate things by attack percentage. They don't do efficiency. They don't really, they look at it, but.
Which is that you minus the mistakes from the kills and then divide it by the attempts.
Yeah.
Here it's only kills divided by attempts.
Yeah. And so when they look at the kill percentage, they want to know what percentage you're killing. And here, we talked about it, and he's if an opposite or outside's just over 50%, they had a really good match. If they're spiking over 50% on the year, then they're one of the top of the league, most likely. But middles, if you're a good middle, you have to be in the 60s. Really, you got to be spiking 60% or something. And if a middle, miss or gets dug or gets blocked one ball, but you said, you set it out to a pin and they get dug or they get blocked. Our coach is is very openly spoke. I don't understand coaches who approach it that way. Same thing with dumping. He's you guys score the highest rate of anybody probably when you dump the ball. So why? And so he really pushes you to do this stuff and understands that. And it's really interesting. And being fully, I don't even know, he won't listen to this, but like he's like one of, like, age-wise, one of the oldest coaches like I played for. And when you see this, a lot of times you see coaches who maybe are set in their ways, and he's actually developed a lot in terms of his like how he sees the game. Because I think a lot of even younger coaches approach it the same way too, and they don't really like look at the statistics and like, hey, what's the actual like truth about like what's going on in the court and stuff. So I thought that was really interesting when he just came and spoke to me about that. I'm like, I'm glad like he is open and recognizes that and wants us like being aggressive. Really interested to hear from your end kind of when you pick to do it. People see it on grass volleyball videos, like Micah's ability to attack is better than most pins I think that we see. So anything else to add, Mike? Before
that social norm, volleyball norm, where people like have a construct in their mind and refuse to like look at simple data. And like, if you just erase all of your expectations and like whatever history you've had with volleyball, and you were to look at it like as a beginner, you'd be like, why doesn't that setter do that more? Like, by the numbers, it makes sense. And I think also what people don't understand as well is just how much it opens up the court. And like they say, for example, set middle. And even if it doesn't work, you're going to open up the pins. For example, that's a philosophy that most people would kind of use in volleyball anywhere, overseas or in America. And then that concept just totally doesn't apply for the setter, which doesn't make sense to me because it's the same concept. How many times am I drawing a blocker and like people are spiking one-on-one because I had dumped? And I dumped once, and even in the back row, I think that this is a big thing that people also don't realize is like when you're, especially in right back, when you're committed to like helping on the setter, and the setter is a threat, whether they use it or not, you're completely out of position 60% of the time after the fact. Like if that ball is a perfect pass, you're helping for one thing, and if they pin the pin or even middle, like you're inside, you're at the 3-meter line and you don't have time to get back. If they spike to the corner or like high line, you're out of the picture. And so just like the formation of a defense when the setter is a threat to me is really underrated, and they look at if it doesn't work, right? Like what
it's like a dual threat quarterback
costed you. But yeah, I mean, what does it open up for your offense is important to look at as well. Yeah.
Now you can compare it to a lot of things in like different offenses, like somebody who really good shooter who could also, drive in basketball, dual threat quarterback, like all the types of like where you have like two like legitimate options, creates a lot. And I would say even like outsides too. It's like they hate going. I'm sure outsides hate going up against offensive setters because you're constantly thinking about that. And you don't want.
You're so stressed.
Yeah. No, it's all really good stuff.
It's five attackers on 3 blockers at that point, right? Like they say that the 4th attacker is the BIC, and that has put a lot more stress on the blockers, especially the middles. But then why are we not adding 5, right? Is the idea.
We're going to jump into the video here. We can get more into it here as we look. All right, jumping in here, I think Mike is going to be first here. Up against Galatasaray. In system, right in the donut hole, middle of the court. What are some keys for you? What are some keys for you, like in terms of like the mechanics of the dump too?
Yeah, I've actually learned a little bit later that I'm not giving it away by putting that ball a little bit more on my right shoulder. I used to always like bring it across from my left shoulder so that the ball wasn't in the face of the people, so that they weren't expecting it a little bit more. But you're just a little bit hindered to like bring that thing more down. And so just letting the ball cross my face a little bit more has been a real key, actually. Like, yeah, this ball I get picked up. If I'm setting a back set here, for example, Namir spikes line. Just put your eyes in 5 right now. Like, there's nobody over there. Even if there's a good block touch goes, and 1's in as well. He hits high line. There's no one in the vicinity. Like, it doesn't even need to be. And so, yes, I get picked up here. It's a perfect pass. And so you don't want to not score on perfect pass, which I agree with. My dump game's not very, my bag's not very deep. It's pretty much just throw it straight down in the middle of the court or throw it into two, like straight down into two when I know the guy's up with me. I just try and beat him sharp. But other guys have way better, like the back dump, the jumbo, like all kinds of fancy stuff. I don't really have that. I got to develop it.
Mike and I are the same. We don't have a lot of variation in our dumps.
Nah.
Micah, so here, I was forced to dump there. Didn't have much of a choice. I was just trying to save the ball, get picked up. But you see, we end up getting a tip here, getting the ball back. So like Micah said, like defending a dump is usually, you get good situations created out of it. Micah just straight down. Little.
Yeah. Dude, it's always super questionable.
But they let it go, man.
Like, I'm really questionable on my dumps. I'm like the first one to admit it.
Dude, internationally, they let it go, man. Setters, they let everything go. Picked up. Free ball, though.
Free ball. Yeah.
And then I think you're in middle. Yeah. That's why we run middle. We don't dump the ball, Joe.
A little bit, man. Like that little bit, so it pays off, man. It's like running the ball. Like it.
Yeah.
It pays dividends later on.
I don't know what I was thinking there. Set the ball over the net.
It happens.
Hey, error. Created the error. Again, Zaxa here. Middle on the court. So that was something at Hawaii. Super funny, actually.
Of course.
Milan, every single time the opposing team in a middle serve, he'd be, Joxy! He'd do this signal always. Every single time middle served. He wanted me to dump every time middle serves.
It is true. I do pick it out a little bit more when the middle's back there.
Most teams, like, I don't know. Do you realize this? I've noticed most, like, the top teams do not focus a lot on the dump. Because they're just more worried about, like, defending the system and stuff. But I always realize that I can, like, dump a little bit more against some of, like, the top teams. For whatever that may be. I don't know if there's reasoning behind that, but they leave the dump. I remember in Lüneburg, our coach, you're not allowed to jump with the setter ever. You leave it. Like, whatever. They dump once or twice here or there.
Yeah,
like, he didn't care at all.
It's just not that important of a thing. Like,
yeah.
Some people build their... I always didn't like that as well. Like, whenever we build a package around a dump, as the opposing setter, I'm like, don't do that. Like, you let him take 1 or 2 points, you're never going to lose to a setter, like, in attack.
Yeah.
But just... I'm so out of position, and I feel like we're giving up a lot when we do that. So.
Yeah. No, 100%. But that's why it's a huge tool. It's like, man, as a setter, like, take the 1 or 2 points, because you never know in, like, a long set. Like, a lot of teams won't focus on it. This is Micah just spiking balls here. This is like grass volleyball right. That's grass volleyball right there. While Paka side out right there. Micah just...
That was a hell of a dig, man.
That was Janusz. Oh, you should have gone for the double. The double attack.
One's enough.
Recycle. Boom. That was nasty. That's a nasty... Oh, we got to replay this. This angle is a... Because you turn pretty much 180 by the end of it. And you flip around the hips. That's filthy. Eric's like, what the heck, man?
Oh, this one I get blocked. Yeah, that was a poor swing.
I think like when Micah just chose to attack is a great time for people. In transition, man, middles are moving around. The last thing they're thinking about is dumps. If you have a full runway, go and take a crack at it.
I also typically like to do it in the middle of the court because you can kind of guarantee a one-on-one. Like, there's no chance that a pin's going to jump with you. That's just way too risky. Like, for example, I know that they're coming from Nimir, right? And a lot of it's on ball placement. This one I get blocked as well. And that's ball placement as well.
I think the key is like, if you have the habit of being super aggressive and fast on the ball, and then your change up is you wait. Some guys, like, they just like wait, like they're not like super aggressive on the ball, and then it's easy to read at that point.
100%.
And so that's like a really important piece of it too, is like if every single time you show like fast, and then your change up is you let the ball fly. Those are the most dangerous guy and the most frustrating. Like Slivka, these outsides that have like super fast approaches and arms, and then they let the ball fall, then it's like game over. Then they're just like, then you're their puppet. We got a little bit more here. Me attacking. I finally got a kill. There's finally a kill.
In a spot where you let the ball travel past the middle and just spike away from him.
Yeah. Nico and I, like, man, we have like, we play similar. He'd be a great while pack a boat ride player. Like Gage and I both say this, like, and we just have this connection. Like, we give each other like a little side eye. Like, we know what's happening, when to go fast. And we just like, so we have that 100%. Special connection. All right, last couple with Micah playing Chivitinova. Oh, transition. Oh, falling off. That's
Yeah,
because
that one's not a good choice. I would not.
no, that's a
advise
huge.
anyone
Well,
else to do that.
that's only Micah Ma'a, the only setter in the world that can do
even
this.
Me, I got lucky. No. Like if
No,
the
I'm
middle-
saying the only
middle
person who can hit that ball. There's no other setter out there that can attack. The ball's coming off the net towards the 3-meter line, back into the court. There's not a lot of setters who can hit that ball
yeah,
with that amount of velocity.
To be honest, this is like a very like early decision because I see what's going on and I really want to spike, and then he pulls me off. Like I'm setting up my approach to spike after a cover, but because I'm not there at this like where the setter position is, everybody will pull the ball way off.
Mm-hmm.
And I always have to try and remind them. It's like human nature, so or like they're just so hardwired to do it that it rarely works out. But after I play with somebody for long enough, like they start understanding it. Nimir is good at it with me. Like even if Mike is not there, put a perfect ball. It means that he's hiding somewhere, ready to come in like full approach. And so one of these, like obviously, once I saw like a soft touch into the block and I saw him go with the hands, I kind of waited. You can see me off. Like I waited for an approach instead of running to the setter position.
A lot of the times it's when I love to do it, and you do too. I know I see you do it all the time. Is you set a high ball coming off the net, guy plays in the block, and you slowly start walking in, and then you have like everything in front of you, and you can do anything.
Dude,
and that's when you can just
and I get so
crank a
mad when
ball.
people, like,
Yeah.
pull that off, and I'm like, God, I know why you did it, and like technically you're thinking the game, so I can't be super mad at you, but just you gotta believe that I'm fast enough to like, even if I'm not there, I'll make it there.
Yeah. This is huge thing. Like that's the one thing I was talking about. Nico, and he puts the thing on the net always. He knows that. He knows what I like to do. Sometimes, in other situations, we don't get those. No, that's good stuff, Micah. That's nice and quick. Again, Joe just screwing me over here, and Mike and two balls, not showing our best stuff. So
Hey,
Joe's got something out for us, I think. But
keep it relatable. I like it, Joe.
yeah, exactly. You got to show all the clips.
We're still working on our game so much. Like we learn things every day as well.
Micah, people really loved it. We got a lot of really good feedback from this, and a lot of people were watching it and cool feedback. So we need a name for the segment. You guys got to drop it below, and then we'll pick something.